Hello, hello. Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Maduro Show. I am Nikki Maduro. She is Kim McAllister, and thank you for joining us today. Full disclosure, we are recorded because Kim McAllister, at this point, you should be there or you're still on your way. She's on a very fabulous vacation.
I think I'm rolling right up.
You're rolling right up. So for those that don't know, it is Jacob's 12th birthday, her son Jacob's 12th birthday. And so she is surprising him with a fabulous vacation. Now we could say it because at this point he should have wisened up that she was going to take him to their normal vacation on their birthday to Monterey, but instead you were going to the most fabulous place in the world,
Disneyland.
So of course we love doing the show together. So that's why we're recorded today, this being Wednesday, February 18th. But the news is always the same, which is the SAVE Act, James Colbert, and the Olympics are some of the things I want to talk about today. But the Colbert news has had me kind of in a vice grip since the start of the week. And I really have been wanting to talk to you about your thoughts on this because I got into some debates with people online, including some family members, about exactly what went on, whether or not it was fair. And because we work in the media, I think people have a misconception about what equal time is and whether or not what CBS did was actually necessary. So for people that haven't read the story or are, let's bring you up to speed a little bit. This was Monday night. Stephen Colbert has his show, and he is set to interview James Talarico, who is a Senate candidate from Texas. We love James Talarico. He's definitely making waves. He's a Democrat. He's trying to flip Texas blue. He's going up against Crockett. Jasmine Crockett. And anyways, so right at the beginning of the interview, or what's supposed to be the interview on Stephen Colbert's show, Colbert says, I'm not allowed to interview him. CBS has made the decision to kind of scrap the interview because of equal time. And so basically, if you want to watch the interview, you have to go to our channel on YouTube that is not under the same rules as network television. And what he's talking about, Kim, is this equal time, which for people that don't understand what equal time is, and in all honesty, not really enforced the same way anymore as it has been in the past. But basically, especially in election years when candidates are running, if let's say a radio station like we were has one candidate on to talk about their campaign, you have to offer it to the other candidate that's running or other candidates that are running. It is not hard, by the way, to comply with this. All a candidate has to do is say, I want to come on too. Or for a station to comply, all they have to do is offer, hey, you want to come on? The candidate does not even have to come on. It just has to be offered. The time has to be offered. And I think that that's a really important thing for people to remember, because I got into this argument. Well, that person wasn't on. That person might not have wanted to be on. Right. That person might not have had time to come on. They might have wanted to play the narrative of, oh, they didn't have me on, but it doesn't mean that they weren't offered time. Does that make sense? Like it's kind of this story that people like and candidates like to talk about to make sometimes themselves feel like a victim. So anyways, fast forward to today, which again is Wednesday, February 18th. A lot of different narratives have come out. CBS, even Jasmine Crockett has been saying, no, CBS did not tell Stephen Colbert and James Talarico that the interview was banned and that they couldn't do it. It was just guidance. It was just a warning from the FCC that they may be in violation of this equal time rule that, again, usually talk shows have an exemption on, but whatever. It was just a warning. It was just a guidance.
CBS says that, and they were talking to The Hill, which is a publication, news publication. They said that the Late Show was providing legal guidance, as you just said, that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule, for the two other candidates. And the network said Colbert's team was presented options for how the equal time to provide equal time for the other candidates and how that could be fulfilled. According to the statement, it was the Late Show itself that decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options. But Stephen Colbert came on last night and said, that is a load of crap. What they just said, the
Exactly.
network, full on load of crap. I tend to believe what Colbert has to say.
Yeah, I want to play a little bit of, hold on, let me get the right, because Colbert did come out and he was saying, yeah, the lawyers knew exactly what they were doing. Here we go. Here's Stephen Colbert's response to all that. Here we go.
Here's where I do want to tell the lawyers how to do their jobs. They know damn well that every word of my script last night was approved by CBS's lawyers, who, for the record, approve every script that goes on the air, whether it's about equal time or this image of frogs having sex. Very specifically, and this is never, in fact, between the monologue I did last night and before I did the second act talking about this issue, I had to go backstage. I got called backstage to get more notes from these lawyers, something that had never, ever happened before.
Wow.
They told us the language they wanted me to use to describe that equal time exception. And I used that language. So I don't know what this is about.
All right, Colbert's interview with...
So again, they're trying to play it both ways. You know what I mean? Like CBS, and this was the argument I was getting in with some family members, because I said the term bow down, right? And a relative of mine is like, what do you mean they bow down? And what I mean is it's the same way as like ABC and other networks preemptively, right? They could have fought certain things, but they didn't. They don't want to take on this administration. Brian Stelter,
especially, by the way, when they need approval for this upcoming sale.
Exactly. It's a fear. It's a fear that they don't want to take on this administration. Brian Stelter's on CNN. He was talking about this, and this is what should scare people. This is why we should be afraid.
It appears to have had a different effect than intended, if that was the effect, because this morning, one, I mean, this is all we're talking about, right? And Talarico's campaign actually said it raised $2.5 million in the 24 hours after the Late Show visit, which sets a single day record.
Wow.
You know, he's in a primary race trying to go for that seat that a Republican holds in Texas. It seems like this has really been great for him.
It's a lot like the Kimmelgate episode from last September where Jimmy Kimmel came out stronger afterwards. You know, we can put Talarico's tweet on screen. He said the FCC banned our Colbert interview, and he's wrong about that. The FCC did not ban the interview, and that's what is actually so interesting about this. It's about the impression, the possibility of interference causing the networks to possibly self-censor. CBS read the proverbial room. They sensed that the FCC might try to aggressively enforce these rules and thus encouraged Colbert just put it on YouTube and keep it off the public airways. And like I said, past chairs of the FCC have not prioritized these rules, but Carr is going to move forward with this. And it reminds me of a term Timothy Snyder has used. He's the author of the book On Tyranny. He talks about this as being an example of obeying in advance. He says most of the power in authoritarianism is given freely by individuals who think ahead to what a repressive government's going to do and then do it themselves. They obey in advance. And that's what many critics say CBS is doing in this instance. It also reminds me of what Don Lemon recently said when he pled not guilty to those charges in Minnesota. He said, the process is the punishment. You know, Lemon's probably going to be found not guilty. He's going to get out free after a jury trial. But the process is the punishment. And there's something similar happening here with the FCC.
And that's what's frightening. You know what I mean? It's like you don't even want to go through the process. You don't even want to go through any of the bad press or any of that. But then you're self-censoring, and that's BS. But I think that, you know, obviously Talarico being able to raise, $2.5 million, he's benefiting from it. But what are the repercussions for people that aren't in a position like Talarico? You know what I'm saying? It's not something that should happen. It's not something. And then what happens when Stephen Colbert's show is off the air? right? Like Stephen Colbert has nothing to lose.
No.
And that when I was listening to him, he's like, what are you going to do? Fire me? End the show earlier? Like the show's over. Like May 21st. And the only reason why I know that date is because it's my husband, my anniversary. That is the last day of the Late Show ever. Like not just Stephen Colbert show, the Late Show.
Ever, yeah.
It's insane. This administration, their thin ass skin has ended what is arguably, I understand late shows are, money pits probably, you know what I'm saying? But it's just, the reason why it's going away is because this administration is so thin-skinned.
Absolutely. I know this entire thing is bullshit. And
Yes.
here's why. News programs like what we did at KGO versus talk shows like this and like the Late Show have different rules. So we don't have rules because we're not technically on the airwaves, right? Yeah. We're on YouTube. But when you are looking at the major networks or radio stations or any airwaves that the FCC controls, those rules apply to news broadcasts, and they do not apply to talk shows like Colbert. And he knows that. Now, there's discussion of changing the rules, but the rules haven't been changed yet. So CBS issuing a statement saying the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule is baloney, because that rule is not applicable to shows like Colbert's, and he knows it and they know it. So to even say that is dumb. And then you see the FCC chair pulling a Trump and coming out today and saying what Stephen Colbert said, that's a hoax. It's a hoax. Is it as if the word hoax is like triggering for the MAGA people to go, oh, okay, quick, rally around. We're against Colbert.
What's the hoax? What's the hoax, though? We saw it.
That Stephen Colbert is saying that he was told not to broadcast this interview. That's a hoax. Really?
No. Yeah, it's total BS. And the truth of the matter is that, like Brian Stelter was saying, there is this equal time thing. They're doing the same thing. The FCC car is doing the same thing to The View. Daytime talk shows, late night talk shows, like you mentioned, had this kind of exemption because of the news aspect of it. You can bring a candidate on and interview them without having to bring the other side necessarily on automatically to have a conversation, right? I mean, somebody was talking about that's why Bill Clinton was able to play the saxophone and, all those sorts of things on late night shows and not necessarily have to have every other candidate on there at the same time. Because while there is an entertainment aspect, there's also a news aspect. That's like saying, Jon Stewart doesn't provide news. Of course he does. He has his politicians on all of the time. There is a news value. But Carr is trying to say, well, it's partisan. Who decides if it's partisan? If anybody is using their office for partisan ways, it is freaking Carr and the FCC. I mean, the FCC is supposed to be this agency that is not supposed to be partisan.
Well, so is the DOJ.
Well, yeah,
so exactly. It's the FBI, right? I mean, all of these agencies under Trump. And here's the crazy thing, and not that I want to derail this conversation about Colbert, but the crazy thing is we all should have seen it coming. When Trump accused Biden of weaponizing the DOJ, you knew right there, because anytime he accuses someone of something, it's something he's either done or is going to do, right?
Yeah.
So we knew just by him saying that, we knew it. And all of these agencies are now doing his bidding. And because they're doing his bidding, you have what were legit legendary broadcast stations like CBS afraid. They're afraid. They're cowards. They're afraid. And so they want this money. They're putting these people in charge, like whatever Weiss is her name, Bari Weiss.
Barry Weiss,
They want these people, they put these people in charge because they want, everything on the, don't broadcast anything that's going to offend Trump, right? Let's make sure did you see recently this producer from 60 Minutes step down? Yeah. Because she said, what they're trying to tell us to do is not freedom of speech. It is not the way we operate.
Right.
They're going to have everything slant, and that's not what I want to do here. And so she left.
And So is Anderson Cooper. He doesn't want to be there either. I mean, he's
No.
staying at CNN, but he doesn't want to be with CBS
On 60 Minutes.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Take heed. And when you see news come out from certain sources, take heed at what you're watching, because these people are going to slant it. And we're coming into the midterm election season, right? And then we're going to have elections after that. And we're going to get maybe some people complacent about, oh, it looks like CBS is, they published this article that was negative on Trump. Look, they're not so bad, right?
Right.
Just
exactly.
you wait. It's insidious. It'll come for you. No.
Or it's going to be the omission, right? It's going to be the self-censorship. It's going to be, we're not going to cover that story. We're not going to completely show what the administration is doing out of fear of the backlash, right? So for instance, an interview on Stephen Colbert with James Talarico might not seem like a big deal, but how many other interviews on different networks like CBS, on different shows, are going to get scrapped because of that fear, right? What information from other candidates, other lawmakers, other news stories are going to get shelved out of that self-censorship because of the fear of what the FCC may do? I'm not worried so much about the slant simply because it's all around us, right? News bias is all around us. I'm more scared of the lack of news coverage, of the shelving of stories. Barry Weiss is going to do that, right? Remember, she shelved that story on 60 Minutes. I mean, eventually it came out, but they didn't want to air it, right? So it's those sorts of things is what are we not going to find out anymore?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be bad with the administration. And that's frightening.
You would think, okay, well, so we can't trust the major networks anymore, right? Because we're not going to see anything that we need to see if they're skipping stories and they're shelving stories. So I'm going to turn to the internet. I'm going to turn to YouTube. I'm going to turn to independent media. And then
do my own research.
And then YouTube, my own research. Oh, for crying out loud. And then, but shows like this, this is what happens. It's a lot easier to get rid of and to kind of whittle down how many people the show is served to, or to, to forget to put it up, or have electronic problems or whatever. You'll see, I think, shows like this hit as well from YouTube. Like, first they're going to, attack the mainstream media, which there's been I would say a campaign. You've seen Trump, even in his first term, putting targets on the media. There was a campaign to discredit the media, now to control the media. And so I worry that they're going to come for YouTube, and they're going to come for podcasts, and they're going to do all kinds of things to get, only the word out that they want. It's one of the reasons why in my repertoire of news sites that I check every day as I'm compiling stories, I always go international. Yeah. I'm looking at sites from the UK. I'm looking at sites from other countries. What are they saying? Right. And some of them
outside. Yeah.
Some of them have English. Even if they're in foreign language, they'll translate to English. I just want to see what they're saying. What is it that we're not getting?
Right. Yeah. And also you have to remember, because it is the internet, who's controlling the algorithm, right? Yeah. I mean, what you see on the internet is, it's filtered to you. It is not the same for everybody. And that's also frightening, because if you can get the tech guys in your pocket, which is what Trump has been trying to do, right? Not saying that he can control everyone's algorithm. I think that the algorithm in and of itself is a monster that can't completely be controlled. But you've heard people say, like, even with TikTok, and this is kind of going off on a tangent, but a lot of people on TikTok, and I know that you're not on it, have been saying ever since the U.S. has taken over this one in the U.S., so much has changed on what they see on their feed, specifically with news. It's all of a sudden very slanted, pro-Trump, pro this, that. It's kind of like how, not that X was great, but X got ruined. You know what I mean? X is a complete cesspool. You cannot go on there and think that you're getting anything but just ridiculousness. But people are very worried that that's what's happening to TikTok if you use TikTok to get your news. Now, for me personally, I do not use TikTok in that way. So my feed is in no way, shape, or form, which is very interesting. I don't get news on TikTok at all. But for people that do, I can only imagine what it's changed to. But I definitely know that after, Dorsey got rid of X and Elon Musk took it over, it's night and day what it changed into. Even after Trump started Truth Social, nobody's on Truth Social like that. They're all still on X, and they've ruined it. They've absolutely ruined it. So I'm just worried about what the algorithm and the influence of the administration on tech companies is going to have on the type of information that people are going to see, even if it is in you're purposely going to other news sites in other countries. If you follow them, I mean, is it even going to pop up on your feed? You know what I'm saying? So
we know, at least this is how it feels to me. Tell me if you disagree. That it seems like tech companies and the big wigs, the Zuckerbergs of the world, are more interested in their money and the longevity of their companies than they are being Americans and
absolutely
and the tenets of the Constitution and what we stand for. Because you have a Zuckerberg who has given oodles of money to Trump, starting with at the very beginning for the inauguration. He's donating to the ballroom. So why wouldn't we think then that Facebook and Instagram, controlled by Zuckerberg, and all of the other platforms where all these tech guys have given all this money to Trump because they want regulations relaxed in their favor? I was reading a story yesterday about we have a czar, we have an AI czar under Trump, and was it Belgium? Some country had a new rule where they're clamping down on AI. So they're setting, before AI comes, they're setting these rules up, this country. I want to say Belgium. And the AI czar in the United States spoke yesterday and said, this is not what you want. You don't want to regulate AI. You want there to be initiative and inventions, and you don't want to limit them. You want them to, develop this to the fullest extent. And putting rules on it is not what's going to help. This is from the Trump administration. You see, they're doing things that are meant to help technology. They're lifting it up. Listen, I don't think that regulations are always a good thing. It's not that I'm saying we don't need innovation, but to say that countries around the world, including the United States, shouldn't have some rules related to AI, shouldn't have some rules related to social media. Come on.
No,
and
it's
that
absolutely
brings
ridiculous.
me to this topic because Mark Zuckerberg was on trial, was giving testimony at this trial today.
Exactly.
Social media trial, because social media is hurting teenagers to the point of causing them self-harm, right? So this is
the first trial, right? If I'm correct.
This is the first trial.
Jury trial.
It is a jury trial involving social media addiction and kids. We know that Zuckerberg has testified before Congress before in hearings on this, but this is a trial where a woman sued TikTok, YouTube, and Meta, which owns Instagram and Facebook, claiming that she became addicted to these sites as a kid and that she's experienced anxiety and depression all the way into adulthood. So they asked Zuckerberg today about internal documents showing millions of young kids are using his platforms, about emails allegedly saying that the company enticed tweens, I have a 12-year-old today, right, to become customers. Snapchat and TikTok previously settled out of court. They say this verdict could impact outcomes of 1,600 other pending social media addiction cases across the United States. I don't know how he can't say it's not addicting and how he didn't know.
Oh, exactly. I mean, and I was reading about that as well. I think, obviously, if you have a company, it's understandable. I will say this. It's understandable that you want people to use, and I'm just going to use the word product for lack of a better word, but that's what it is. You want people to use your product. But when we're talking about something like social media and we're learning how it impacts people's mental health, especially children, you can't ignore it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't ignore it. And there was one question that he was being asked about, 13-year-olds, and they're like, you really think that these 13-year-olds are reading the fine print and doing all sorts of things? Like, no, they're not doing any of that. Do you think they're being honest if you're supposed to be of a certain age? Because I think it was one person that I've been addicted, the person that was suing, I've been addicted since I was 6 years old. That's how I had access, how early I had access to something like Instagram, which says something about parenting, but whatever.
I was going to ask you about that. Let's ask the question, because do you think parents should be the people on the hook for controlling and making sure their kids are not on these platforms? And when a kid hits 13 and they're comparing themselves to other kids and they're wanting to be popular and they're looking at there's one of the websites that, you have every day that you contact someone or you send a message to someone, you're in their top list, right? If you miss a day, if your phone gets taken away, then you're not.
Oh, is it? I don't know which one that is.
It's Snap. They have.
Is it Snap? Yeah, I don't like. Well, my daughter's not supposed to have Snap. At least, but no, I don't like Snap. I'm not on Snap. I don't like Snap.
Is it the parents? Should we be the ones saying?
Yes.
No,
I do think that it starts with us.
But how? I mean, it starts with us. But how can you control?
You can't.
A 15, 16, 17-year-old who's going to want to get on these things and will find a way to hide it.
This is what I would say. Yes, I think there is some parental responsibility and personal responsibility. When we're talking about children, I think we take the personal responsibility out of it because they're minors. Okay. So I do think that there is parental responsibility, but I think social media in and of itself, and tip of our hat to Mark Zuckerberg's success, right, has been ingrained in society, right? So it's in schools, it's a form of communication that has become so ingrained that to say that children can completely not be on social media, especially in middle and high school, is naive. Okay. So they need to at least have some form of social media. They're going to at least see some form of social media. And so, okay, if they're going to have some sort of impression on it, then there needs to be some sort of responsibility by the maker of the social media to make sure that the child doesn't become addictive. And if your platform and the way it is designed with, the dopamine hits, the never ending scroll, like there's no end to social media. There's no way for you to become bored on social media. They don't design it that way. And that's what this trial is about. It's like you make it so people don't want to get off. And for children, that's dangerous. It's as dangerous as the vape that people put in their hands. So it's addictive. Yep. And if you want to talk about the fact that cigarette companies or vaping companies can't, advertise to children, then neither should social media companies, because they know that it is addictive.
Yep.
So yes, there is parental, responsibility to watch over your kid to make sure they're not vaping or being on social media too much. But if the product in and of itself is available to teens, it should not be made addictive. I think that there's so many things that Meta and Instagram could do to reduce the harm, but I also feel like the cat's out of the bag.
It's not the way they operate.
Exactly.
Right? Because you see something and their algorithm serves up something similar and something similar, and you get more and more. And if you were, say, looking at something that was mildly racist, then they serve you up something that's racist, and then they serve you up something that's aggressively racist, whatever it may be, right? And so then it kind of creates this downfall. I don't know. I mean, I'm that's just one example.
I just wish that there was a way to get, I feel like there is a place for social media and a way for it to be incorporated into society that is not as harmful. Like, I feel, even though I am on Instagram and Facebook, I definitely feel my time on it has been significantly reduced. I would say most of my time on my phone is spent watching movies. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm being honest, like, I am online, like, either watching, Heated Rivalry for the 50 millionth time or something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm watching my latest binge show. I've gotten bored with Facebook. I've gotten kind of bored with Instagram. And I don't know if that's just my age, but I have. I think that that's what needs to happen. There needs to be like something that makes it so it's like, okay, I checked in for 20 minutes, maybe even an hour if we're going to go extreme, but then be done with it. It needs to stop feeding you stuff, you know?
They used to give you a warning if you were on too long. Remember, they would pop up with a, hey, you've been on Facebook for an hour now. Like, are you sure you want to keep going?
Netflix still does it. Like, if Netflix can do it, why can't Facebook do it?
I want to show you this since we're on the topic. I don't know if you saw this story pop up. Chromebooks, you know, they give Chromebooks to schools or iPads to schools. Do you know they're not doing it to be nice?
Oh, I doubt.
They're not doing it so people can be educated and kids can learn how to use it.
Of course not.
Here's the article. This is from The Verge. Chromebooks train school kids to be loyal customers, according to Google's internal documents. There is an internal presentation that says grabbing users early in their childhood years leads to brand trust and loyalty over their lifetime. So in Petaluma City schools, you get an iPad the minute you go into kindergarten. They give you an iPad. Yeah, and you can. They don't do it every day, and it's it's lessons about ABCs or whatever it is. And then as you go through the grades, more and more things are assigned where you have to use your iPad for research, or you have to make a movie on your iPad or whatever. And it's very educational, and it's fine. Then you get into high school. At Petaluma High School, they issue everyone a Chromebook. So, I mean, at least you have the experience on your iPad and your Chromebook. And I think kids are going to get these things at home, even if they don't get them in schools. But I just think that's so interesting that they're not doing it in some kind of large
altruistic. Yeah,
right.
No.
They're doing it because they know exactly what they're doing. They're setting themselves up for future customers.
Well, and I will say this, Apple got me at the beginning. Like, I'm in the ecosystem. So I'm on right now. I'm looking at my MacBook. I have an iPhone. I've never, ever had an Android. Now, when I went for instance, when I started my job at the school, I had my option. Do you want like a Mac? Or do you want like a Windows kind of laptop?
Sure.
I got a freaking MacBook. I'm used to a MacBook, right? Like that's brand loyalty. You have muscle memory of because they are different. It's a muscle memory type thing. Now at work, like at KGO or whatever, we had both. Like, so at home I would be on a Mac and then I'd be on a Windows. So I could do both. But you hand me a Samsung phone, you might as well hand me a rock. I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do with this. How do I make it work?
I had a Samsung Galaxy for years. I didn't have an iPhone until this recent phone, and I picked it because the rest of my family was on the Apple ecosystem or whatever, but also because I thought I need to know how to learn to use both. Yeah. Right? Like I want to know how to use them all. So I don't know.
I mean, I could figure it out. Like my dad had an Android for a while until finally I was like, can you just get an iPhone? So because I would have to help him with his technology. Sure. I'm like, so every time you come to me, I know what I'm doing and I don't have to like Google it and then figure out how to do everything, which I would obviously do. But yeah, it's just, you just get locked in. And so that brand loyalty, once you have it, but I will say this, Chromebooks, I don't think I would ever buy a Chromebook outside my kid needing it for school and the school gives it to them. So as far as Google is concerned, maybe they've got me on the search. Like, I don't think I will ever use a different search engine.
I have been for the last couple of weeks. I have been.
Really? What?
Because every time I go to Google on my phone, this little note pops up and it says, there's been some interesting things happening with your internet searches at this house, and we want you to click this button saying you're not a robot.
What?
And I refuse to click the button. I think somehow that
is weird. I've never
really strange. I'm like, I'm not going to click the button to prove I'm not a robot. And why are you? There's no weird searches at my house or on my phone.
That's odd. I've never seen that before.
So I have two browsers on my phone. I have the Google Safari. One, what's it? Chrome, Safari. I have Chrome and I have Safari. So now I'm using Safari because screw Google. I'm not clicking your robot button.
Yeah. So I have Safari, which I don't honestly use that often, but I have Chrome, and then I have DuckDuckGo, which I use. so DuckDuckGo doesn't like follow you or whatever, and it's good. And I never remember to use it, but I know I have it on my phone. I just think of it. So if I'm trying to be all like, I'm not going to be on Google, I use DuckDuckGo. But Google is it's just, they've got it on lock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing that sucks about Google is like you accidentally search for something. It's like part of your DNA now. You know what I mean? It's like, shoot, I didn't mean to look up lamps. Now I'm going to find lamps on my thing for the rest of my freaking life.
It's funny because a long time ago, my husband worked at Google. And he said they did it on purpose. They worked really hard to bring Google into the lexicon of language.
Of course.
It's like, give me a Coke, give me a Kleenex, give
Xerox
me a Google
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Can you imagine if Yahoo had been that smart and they had been like Yahoo it? Because they were there first.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Why don't we say Yahoo it? Nope. Or why don't we say Bing Safari it? Bing it. We don't
tried
say
to do
that.
Bing it, and that was
we
not
say
working.
Google it because it's locked in. Yep.
They won that race. You know what I mean? They won that race. And I definitely think with that comes a lot of lawsuits, right? Like they've been trying to break up the monopoly of Google, which I do think there is a lot of meat there. I do. But at the same time, is it going to stop people from using Google? No. I think I just read the funniest thing. Google was suing, I think, like AI companies for using the information that AI companies were scraping off of Google, that Google was scraping off of other companies. And it was like, now you see how it feels to be on that side?
Like, from you, and everyone's stealing from each other. Wait,
okay. How's it feel, Google? Like, yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's, the AI and all that is frightening. Going back to what you were talking about with Belgium, I think, again, with social media, the cat's out of the bag with AI very quickly. The amount of energy that's being used at data centers exponentially growing. They are going to need to find their own energy source because PG&E, at least here, these companies are not going to be able to fund or provide, I should say, the amount of energy these data centers are going to need to meet the demand of people using as much data as these AI companies are making people use. I mean, people are using AI for the most asinine things ever, because that's what they're telling them to use it for. You could use AI to learn a language. You can use AI to make yourself into a cartoon. You could use AI to teach you how to tie your shoes, even though you already know how to tie your shoes. Like they're making it seem like AI is so harmless, and it's not harmless. There is such a cost to it. And people, we've talked about this ad nauseum, are not aware of that. And I don't know if we're ever going to be able to get that back, unfortunately.
I was reading a story that the AI, the whole thing about power needs and how much it's going to cost is going to become a huge issue in the next upcoming election.
Oh, hell yeah.
And how candidates view it, what our opinions on that will be. That's going to be a major thing coming up, and our view on whether we think that AI needs to be regulated. This is all going to be a really big deal.
The truth of the matter is the desire to regulate it. You know what I mean? It's, do people understand how dark it can go? Or are AI companies, it's kind of like what you were saying about tech companies. Do they care about the Constitution, or do they care about only money?
Yeah. Are you American first, or are you Facebook first? What are you?
I don't know if AI cares if the Earth blows up, or, humanity is destroyed, as long as they're rich while it burns down. I don't know. People really do see AI that black and white. Like it can either make or break us. Now, I don't like to live in those sorts of terms, because I think that there's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of ways in which things can change, because there's people involved, right? There's also human beings that are going to be like, I don't like this anymore. I think people get fed up with AI. I'm kind of exhausted by AI videos. I think it's lame. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like the novelty of it is kind of old. People are like, oh, you're not even going to be able to tell if it's AI. That's annoying. I think there's pushback. Remember with the Google glasses, remember? And people were like, oh, the glass holes. Google thought you were going to love that. And people were like, I don't want that.
I don't want that.
I don't want that. And so maybe people won't like where AI is going towards the doom area, and it'll go somewhere where it's not so bad, but it could be a blend.
So this is the U.S. senior policy advisor for Trump slamming what's called the Brussels AI Act. And here he is. Here's this guy.
Our czar.
This is our czar. This is Sriram Krishnan, and he is criticizing the EU's Artificial Intelligence Act, adopted in 2024, meant to mitigate the risks associated with this type of technology. And he's like, he's the White House senior policy advisor on artificial intelligence. And so there was an AI Impact Summit in India, and this is when he stood up and he said, no, this is doomerism. He said the EU AI Act, which I have ranted about before this job, during this job, and maybe after this job, is not conducive to an entrepreneur who wants to build basic technologies. So
yeah, I'm sure it's not. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about saving humanity from its own demise by AI.
Yes.
Those are two totally different things.
Right.
I mean,
and you would think any other administration might, I don't know, think to put someone in this position, if they're going to have such a position, which I think is warranted, who's more balanced and sees the needs of, humanity, of the people which AI serves, and all of these things, rather than just the technology companies and money, and the innovation, right? Think about the end user a little bit.
Well, think about like where it can go. You know what I mean? Think about AI replacing, human jobs. Elon Musk talks about it all the time as if it's going to be this it could be some sort of utopia where people don't have to work anymore. And we've talked about this before. People need purpose. So if you take away job, what is their purpose? Now, people, I can have a purpose besides working. Okay, but that's not how humans have been. Like, we do things. So if you take away that, what do we do? How do we survive? How do we stop being greedy? How do we afford things? You know what I mean? There's so many questions. And I think AI is moving way more quickly than we're able to answer those questions.
Well, it happened with the internet, right? The internet was like the wild, wild west. It developed more quickly than we could develop laws to regulate it.
Yeah, it's frightening. I don't trust this administration to do anything that puts any sort of brakes on business, on capitalism. I mean, that's how they feel about climate change, right? Don't do anything. It's a hoax. It stops business, blah, blah, blah. That's why they hate climate change. And they're going to feel the same way about AI, right? Don't stop any sort of innovation with AI because it hurts business. Well, there's something else to consider besides business and money, and it's people. What happened to people? What happens to communities? What happens to, the job market and all that sort of thing? And I do not trust this administration to think with their heart. So, it'll be interesting. I don't, this AI czar, I think that he's focused on the bottom line and not necessarily people. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so another thing about, speaking of lack of a heart, government shutdown, still going on. I'm assuming it's still going on by the time this airs tomorrow. And it all has to do, again, with what we've been talking about with the immigration. But a Republican Congressman, Don Bacon from Nebraska, says there is some low-hanging fruit with the immigration bill that could possibly end the shutdown. He says it would have to do with the body-worn cameras. The mandatory body-worn cameras could bring an end to the days-long partial government shutdown that, of course, has made people like at the TSA and others like work without pay, which is absolutely ridiculous because lawmakers never do that. But he was on MS Now, and he suggested that Republicans have two choices. You could play hardball or identify potential areas of compromise. And he thinks that the mandatory body cameras, which is on that list of demands that the Dems have, is something that they should be able to agree on. The other demands are their officers are not allowed to enter private property without a judicial warrant. Adoption of standardized use of force policy, ban on agents wearing masks while conducting enforcement operations. They want agents to identify themselves, wear the cameras, and stay away from sensitive locations like schools and churches. I don't understand, Kim, what on that list Republicans don't like. I really don't. I really, really have a hard time understanding what is so bad about that list of demands that makes it difficult for them to agree on, so much so that, the Coast Guard, FEMA, TSA, everyone that works there is having to work without a freaking paycheck right now.
I saw an interview on CBS's Face the Nation Sunday where the border czar, Tom Homan, I think that's his position, was interviewed, and they'd asked him about what is it about this rule that the ICE agents take off their masks and put on name tags. What is it about that? And he said, listen, we've never seen more ICE agents doxxed. We've never seen more people get threatened and have their families threatened. So, they have to hide their identity, or their families are at risk because they're doing their job that they're paid to do. And you have people that are, going to their houses and finding their families. There are laws already, this according to CBS, that forbid the hassling of law enforcement agents. So that's already on the books. If you're found to have, done this to a law enforcement agent, then make a law that says you can't harass someone's family at home. That's fine. But here in America, having people wear masks with big rifles on their face, it's like a third world country. It's like something you looked at in a magazine when you were little and thought, oh God, thank God I don't live there. Guess what? We live there now.
Well, how do you think police officers, other law enforcement deal with all of the time? What about politicians? You don't think that they get harassed? You don't think crazy? Ask Nancy Pelosi how she feels about people coming to her home and taking a hammer to her husband's head. Can we please pull back a bit on that? And just, if you don't want the threat or the risk of being doxxed, don't take the job. Then don't do the job. You don't have to be an ICE officer. But police officers do it all of the freaking time. You think everybody loves a police officer pulling them over? No. You want to know why people dox ICE officers? Because they're not doing their job legally. That's why.
As a matter of fact, to your point, multiple stories in the last week alone about judges throwing cases out of court of people that have been arrested by ICE. I just saw one today about someone had really severe skull fractures and they're suing ICE because of the injuries. So judges are kicking these immigration cases out, saying they're meritless and pointless. At least if you are the victim of excessive force by police, you can go to the police department and say, Officer so-and-so, roughed me up unnecessarily. And they open an investigation, and hopefully there's body worn footage of it or what have you. An investigation ensues. When you don't have the ability to know your, in this case, sometimes attacker via the ICE agent, you can't see their face. You don't know their name. People are being put on some kind of ICE list if they record. Right? They say we don't want to be recorded. Of course they don't want to be recorded. What happens when you don't have your name or face out in the public? You have no accountability.
Exactly.
Bingo. You can do whatever you want. You can hurt whoever you want. And it's like the Lord of the Flies out there. We're just going to brutalize people and have no accountability at all.
It's ridiculous. And that's why they need to take them off. And then it came out today, the Department of Justice admits violating court orders in immigration cases over 50 times just since December, and only in New Jersey. So think about that. One state, and in a little over 2 months? It is not surprising that people are pissed, at this Department of Justice and their minions, which are ICE agents. So I'm sorry if people aren't weeping over the fact with Homan that ICE agents are getting quote unquote doxxed. Don't be an ICE agent. Don't do things illegally. Follow the Constitution and we'll be fine. I'm sorry. I have zero sympathy. Zero. Just like you said, You should not be able to cover your face and not identify yourself if you are in the commission of doing something like what the ICE agents are doing. It's absolutely ridiculous. So hopefully they can or have reached some sort of agreement, because if there is anything that is a prime example of a ineffectual government, it is what? 2 government shutdowns in like as many months?
100%.
This is ridiculous.
Really?
This is absolutely, I mean, I know it's a partial shutdown, but this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine not working for the government right now. It is, it's so sad. It's absolutely sad.
I have a friend, coworker, clearly not you, who says, you'll understand why in a moment. Okay. Not that you're not a friend, but you are a friend. But this person says, listen, if you don't want to get in the middle of an ICE raid, then don't be out there. If you're here illegally, then you deserve what it's got coming to you. We got to get these people out of here, right? That are here illegally. If you don't want to tangle with ICE, don't be here illegally. Don't break the law. I just don't think that's the way America does things. I think that America has allowed people to be here in an undocumented fashion because we needed people to do cheap labor, because we needed people to pay into our tax system who weren't going to collect Social Security on the back end. We needed this. And so we allowed it. So there has to be some accountability from the United States of America. We might say, listen, we're going to change the rules. Okay. If you were here illegally, we're changing the rules. And if you can show us that you've been here a certain amount of time and you've paid taxes into the system or whatever it is, then we'll put you on a path to citizenship, whatever it may be. And then we're going to really tighten things up at the border. We're not going to let people in. We're going to, we're going to decrease the numbers of people from all the different countries, not just the countries where people are of color, but all the countries. We're going to change things up. There's no more room at the inn. If that's your style of thinking, I might be able to understand it. But what I don't understand is they're here illegally, go out and brutalize the hell out of them, go out and put them in warehouses where little kids are getting sick, where people are dying. Go do that. That's not America. That's not how we treat people. We're better than that. I'm so offended that this is the way we've chosen to deal with it, by mistreating people. Even the people who they said, well, self-deport and we'll give you $1,000. No. Or the people that were trying to do things legally and arrested at the courthouse.
Exactly. And that's what pisses me off the most, is the people that are here legally. Now, they might not be documented. They're in the process. They have asylum claims. This administration changes the rules while these people are following the rules.
That's right.
They make them illegal and then pull them and brutalize their families. It's sad. And like you said, it's not American. It's not who we are.
It's totally un-American. I don't want anyone brutalized. I don't want the families of ICE agents brutalized. I don't want immigrants brutalized. I don't want people sent to detention centers. In Texas, measles broke out and they have little kids in there. I'm sorry, but no. Absolutely not. Can you imagine having your kid plucked away from you, taken, or even if you're with your kid, taken to a center where you get no medical help and then measles breaks out? No. Are you kidding me? I mean, put yourself in someone else's shoes. I don't care how white you are. Put yourself in the shoes of an immigrant. How would you want to be treated? Then let's act accordingly.
How have you been feeling about the Olympians that have been, being interviewed? And they're saying, I might not, I obviously represent America right now, but I don't agree with everything that this administration does. Because right now with the Olympics going on, it is a tad bit uncomfortable, for lack of a better phrase. I would be very uncomfortable as someone that has to represent my country. And yet there are things that I don't like as I represent my country. It is I would imagine it's very difficult to sit up there and have to face questions like that. Well,
you're having these American athletes in front of the international press. So of course, members of the media from different countries are going to ask about what the hell is going on in the United States of America, right? Of course, they're going to ask that. And I think as an American citizen, which you and I get to exercise at least weekly now, if not daily,
exactly,
we have the right to speak our opinion. It's what makes us different from China. It's what makes us different from Russia. We can walk out the door and scream, F whoever. We have free speech here. We can not like our government. We can speak out against our government.
Yep,
That's what makes America America. For JD Vance, I don't know if you saw the story. He came out this morning or yesterday and said these American athletes shouldn't speak out against the government. What a kind of a person.
Oh, here we go. I'm so glad you mentioned it. I have it. I have it right here.
Understand the basic tenets of the Constitution, which tells me I can say whatever the damn hell I want to say whenever I want to say it.
Here he is. Here we go.
Olympic athletes were unbelievable. I know the entire country is rooting for them. Yes, you're going to have some Olympic athletes who pop off about politics. I feel like that happens every Olympics. My advice to them would be to try to bring the country together. And when you're representing the country, you're representing Democrats and Republicans. You're there to play a sport, and you're there to represent your country and hopefully win a medal. You're not there to pop off about politics. So when Olympic athletes enter the political arena, they should expect some pushback. But most Olympic athletes, whatever their politics, are doing a great job, are certainly enjoy the support of the entire country. And I think recognize that the way to bring the country together is not to show up in a foreign country and attack the President of the United States.
I disagree.
You know what, JD Vance? Eat yellow snow. Americans can pop off about politics whenever we want. Whether we're athletes or whether we sit our fat ass on the couch, it doesn't matter. If you're an American, you're allowed to speak. So, he is the one who needs to close his face.
Well, and not saying something is saying something. If I was an Olympian and I'm being interviewed, whether before my sport or whatever, and they're like, "What do you think about, Trump doing X, Y, and Z?" And I said, "Well, I'm not here to talk about that." That's saying something. Whether or not it's fair. You are on the international stage. It's as if, and I know people hate when you make the comparison to Hitler, but if you didn't say anything, you know what I mean? It's like, how do you not say something? There's crazy crap happening in America right now. Our Constitution is being violated left and right by a man who is supposed to be upholding it. And you're not going to say anything at an event, in a situation in which you are supposed to be representing your country. And so I think it'd be very hard to do something like that, perform in the Olympics and not take a position. I don't know. But then you brought up, which was funny, you're like, we're not Russia, we're not China. And we talked about this athlete before, Eileen Gu.
I'm so sad that I agree with JD Vance on something. Like, I don't want to.
This girl is who you're agreeing with? Okay, so Eileen Gu, if you don't know who she is, she's actually from the Bay Area. She goes to Stanford. She is actually choosing to play again, because we talked about this before. She did it in 2016 for China, where her mother was born instead of the U.S., where she was born and raised. Now, she says, and her father, she says that she was physically assaulted on the street while on campus at Stanford University back in 2022. She's had threats because of this decision that she's made. She said, in the US, I had so many idols to look up to, but in China, I feel like there are a lot fewer of those. I had much greater impact in China than in the US, and that's why I made my decision. I completely agree with you and totally disagree with why she has chosen to compete under China's flag. And this is why. You compete for the country in which you're born, right? Like,
not necessarily.
Well, I mean,
what if you were born somewhere else and then?
But she wasn't. That's what I'm saying. Okay,
yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like, if she was born in China and then lived in the United States, I could totally understand. Okay, like, but she wasn't at all.
Or if you didn't make the cut. Right, you didn't make the U.S. Olympic team, but China said, "Yeah, we'll take you on our team because maybe their standards aren't as strong." I don't know.
But that's kind of iffy. So, like, what I'm trying to make the comparison is, okay, so I'm Puerto Rican and Italian, right? So, do I go to Puerto Rico or Italy to compete for either of them just because that's my nationality? Like, that's my ancestors, No, that's I'm American. I was born in America. I was trained in America. I you know what I mean? Like I did my sports in America. I'm not trying to hate on her being, Chinese descent or whatever, but
yeah,
I think that it's a bit rich for her to say, I'm trying to be an example for girls in China, as if they're not athletes in China for them to look up to. You know what I mean? Like, give me a freaking break over here, sweetie.
I don't know if girls in China have the same opportunities for education. I truly don't know what it's like to be a girl in China.
Well, I think they are educated.
I don't know if there's rampant sexism or like how it is to be a woman in China. I don't know that. But what I do know is that Eileen Gu has grown up in San Francisco, has had all the benefits of an American education.
Exactly.
Has had all the economic benefits of being an American, right? Has had all the freedoms associated with being an American, which is not in the Chinese experience, has gone to Stanford, another American experience. So she's benefiting from being an American. And then she's turning around and she's winning the gold for China. And this bothered me last time and it bothers me now. And that's what JD Vance said. She has all the benefits of being an American, and then she goes and she competes for the other country.
Right.
But what I didn't know, and maybe this will change your opinion, I don't know, if this is true, because my friend Tony told me today that she's been paid $14 million by China to be on their ski team. So say you are an athlete and America's going to pay you nothing, but Puerto Rico is going to pay you $14 million if you come do the bobsled there.
Well, then say that. Then say that. Don't feed me a line of, I'm doing it because of girls in China. I'm being paid off then. I would actually respect it more. Okay. That actually makes sense to me. Like, damn. Okay. Then say that. Don't say, I'm proud of my heritage. And no, because your parents are from China. You are not. You're not. You, just like you mentioned, you weren't born, educated, trained, anything in China. Nothing of you besides, your parents are Chinese. That's it. That is it. So and again, like, is this, the most life or death issue? No. Does it matter? Like, in the grand scheme of life? No. Do I think it's fair? No, I just don't. I think, and I also don't think that she should be harassed or threatened or anything like that at all. Of course not. But I don't buy her reasoning. And I understand why people find it disingenuous and are like, to her, you know what I mean? Like, give it up, Eileen. Like, just stop. Just stop. I would much rather actually her lead with this headline. Like, right, dude, I got paid bank. Okay, done. Okay.
Yeah. If you're just listening, the headline says Eileen Gu paid a staggering amount to compete for China and not for the United States.
That makes sense to me. That makes sense. Okay. I actually was like, okay, if the U.S. isn't going to pay you, and that's American. That's the most American thing she can do.
According to the Wall Street Journal, Gu and her fellow American-born athlete Zhu Yi were paid a combined $6.6 million in 2025 by the Beijing Municipal Sports Bureau for striving for excellent results in qualifying for the 2026 Milan Winter Olympics. Over the last 3 years, the two athletes reportedly received nearly $14 million in total. The payments becoming public when the Bureau's budget was posted online with their names included. Their names have since been removed from the report.
Whatever.
So she gets millions for competing, as you say. If that's why, that's why. And you're putting money over your nationality. That's you do you, right?
Exactly. And then say that. You know what I mean? Like, don't stop feeding us a load of BS. Like, it doesn't make sense for you to compete for China. It does not make any sense whatsoever. You are not Chinese. She's not Chinese. I mean, she her background is, but that's like saying, like, I say I'm Italian and Puerto Rican because my parents and my grandparents, right? Like that line, but I'm American. Like, I don't even speak Spanish or Italian. Like, come on over here. So I don't know. It's hard. And I also think being an American, especially in 2026, it means something.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking about, it could be a good thing or a bad thing. What does it mean to be an American in 2026? Are you denying being an American for something specific? Are you saying you're an American for something specific? So yeah, I just think that there's a lot of weight that goes behind that. And so if it's just the money, say that. Say that. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm actually glad that that's the reason.
You know that now?
I didn't know that. That's actually pretty good. One. Have you been following the curling controversy?
Yeah, where he poked it.
He double touched. Okay, so if you haven't seen it, I have been dying because my husband absolutely has been obsessed with curling. I could give two craps, but I absolutely love it. So here is the angle. If you want to know, this is Mark Kennedy. He is the one on the right. I'm going to expand this for a second. He's the one that's crouched down on the right there. Now, as it comes across, I want you to pay close attention to his index finger, all right? You can't do that. So it's blocked right now, but pay attention. He's released and boop, he can't do that, okay? That is what we call in the curling world a double touch, okay? And he got called out. This actual side angle apparently was kind of a hidden camera, I guess, because the other country was accusing him. They're like, you're cheating. And so they were working with other camera people to catch the guy double touching. Cuss the guy out. He's like, F you, blah, 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 blah. I have never been so excited to watch curling ever since. This double touch controversy has come out.
It's now a meme. Look at him poking the dog in the nose.
Oh yeah. Apparently he does it a lot though. This guy's a cheater. Yeah, if you look on his Wikipedia page, apparently he has a long list of wins. He's been like one of the winningest curlers or whatever. And then some people are like, well, now we need to go back to the tapes. But they don't go back to the tapes. That's another thing in curling. They don't rewatch. So it's like honor among thieves kind of thing. Like it's an honor code. You don't go back to the tapes. They don't go to the refs. And so, yeah, Mark Kennedy being accused of cheating. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, he got cussed out, he cussed out the guy that accused him. And that was making its rounds on there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Nobody's going to take away the win, though. It's just not going to happen. But
why? If you show that someone cheated,
they don't go to the tapes, though. That's why they just don't.
Then why have the cameras there?
That side view wasn't the Olympics. That camera shot came from I think it was Sweden or whatever. Yeah, it wasn't the official broadcast. It was somebody else that had set up the camera to kind of prove it, but it's not the official. And even if it was, it's the call on the ice. It's not, they'll never go back. Even if there was a double touch, unless it's called right there by the ref, they don't do it. Yeah. Curling. I'm not into curling. I'm only into the controversies and the cussing of people out. That's about it.
See, I think if you get caught poking it, then you should lose your medal.
Yeah, I definitely.
That sounds really bad. Wait a minute. What? What did you just say?
What did you poke? What did you?
Oh, you heard me.
I've been really loving I like the ice skating. I've been really loving the ice skating. I like the Olympics.
I think the American ice dancers got robbed.
Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I saw I don't know the names right now. I know the guy who fell was under a lot of pressure.
Ilya is his name, I think.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
The blonde guy with the kind of the longish hair. He had a lot of pressure, and so I kind of felt for him. And then there was a woman last night that I was reading the story of overnight, but I guess she got marked down, but she also didn't make her jump, is what I was reading about.
Okay.
Yeah. So why do you think she got robbed? Maybe I'm missing another story.
No, they're the ice dancers from America who
Oh, is this the scoring thing?
Yeah, it's a scoring thing. And the French judge scored them 8 points lower, which is a significant amount. Like usually you should be, you know, within a few points.
And it was only France, right, that scored them that way?
Only France did it. And I want to say the French team won.
Yeah.
And so there was allegations of some kind of bias going on there to score the Americans 8 points lower and, you know, inflate the score of the French team. I don't know. If you saw their ice dance, boy, was it incredible. So you know, it's one of those things. I don't know if I could ever be a judge. I just watch these and I'm like, that's amazing. And then you look at the scores, you're like, I guess it wasn't that amazing. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be looking at. But I love the Winter Olympics. I'm excited for the Summer Olympics. Like I mentioned, it's going to be in LA. The ticket lottery is up. I haven't received any sort of notification, but very excited for it to come. I think we're third or fourth in the medal count right now. There's the ice camp dancers.
Let me see. Oh, and I think there's also a Netflix show right now regarding the ice dancers. It's very popular right now. Yeah. So it's kind of like they've been following them behind the scenes. So that also adds to the drama of it all. You know what I mean? So it's also just a lot of pressure. So I can't imagine. I just can't imagine doing all that. It's just really, really cool. So good luck to everybody. When do the Olympics end? Do we know how much longer?
I'm not sure. I will tell you if you want to look it up, though. I will tell you that I'm a lot upset. We talked last week about what's her name? Roan Chapel. Did I get her name right? Chaperone. My apologies. And she ditched her agency that represented her because of this guy, I want to say his name is Wasserman, who had been
in the files,
implicated in the Epstein files. Casey Wasserman. Casey Wasserman, as it turns out, is also the Olympics chair for the Los Angeles Olympics. And he has been, he was, you know, dumped by Chapel Roan, and he was then asked to step down. There were calls for him to, you know, check out of being the chair of the Olympics. And he said, no, I won't.
I know.
So now LA Mayor Karen Bass says that he should step down. But the LA 2028 committee voted last week to keep Wasserman in place. And so I want to know, do you think having this guy who's deep into the Epstein files and emailing Ghislaine Maxwell back in the day, you know, with a lot of positive, glowing, flirty kind of things. Do you think this guy should be the chair of the Los Angeles Olympic Committee? And would it stop you from going to the Olympics or participating as a fan because he is the one running the show there?
I would not want to deal with him at all. You know what it would, I'll say this. I don't think unless there's a lot more pressure from the top, I don't think it's going to make him step down. So if he is still in place, I think it creates an opportunity for public shaming. Does that make sense? So if he's going to be there, then I think it does create an opportunity for victims and others to kind of use the Olympic platform to bring even more attention to the Epstein files. Does that make sense? So if he's going to be there, then we're going to protest. I think that's going to be the case.
I think the time for protesting is now.
Well, of course.
I want to see people not get those tickets to the Olympics. I want to see people not fly to the Olympics in Los Angeles to say, you know what? If this is who you choose to have in charge of it, I'm not going to participate as a fan. Okay. I'm not giving you my money. I'm voting with my wallet. Screw you, Wasserman and the LA Olympics. Done.
I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you on one hand. If like, here's the thing. Are you hurting Wasserman or are you hurting like LA businesses? You know what I mean? Like who's getting the most hurt? I would say I would want to publicly shame Casey Wasserman and whatever his business ties are versus, not supporting our athletes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I think he should do the right thing and step down.
Oh, absolutely. He should stop bringing shame onto the Olympics. But then to do that, he would have to be admitting something, which he does not want to admit.
Or would he? I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of people who haven't really done anything wrong who know that whatever they're connected to or implicated in or accused of are bringing down their place of employment, or, you know, the company they created, or the candidate that they are representing, or whatever it may be. And they do the right thing and step down and say, you know what, the attention on this is not where we want the focus. We want the focus to be on the Olympics. So for that reason, I've decided that this is too much of a distraction and I'm going to step away.
Yeah.
Done. That's it. That's all he needs to say, and bye-bye. And then on we go with a wonderful Olympics. But now he's dragging it down.
There is I'm going to take this down for a second. I don't know. Have you heard of jmail.world?
No.
So for anybody that doesn't know, there is a website, and I'm going to show it right now. It's called Jmail, like Gmail, but jmail.world.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody has created this, and this is a list of all organized as a Gmail account, but it's Gmail, of the Epstein emails that you can use, that you can look into. So here I just put Wasserman right at the top right there. So these are the Wasserman emails to Ghislaine Maxwell. I like to make sure that we have up-to-date and complete contact. So you can go to jmail.world and just search any name you want to. And these are the Casey Wasserman emails that have been found in the Epstein files. Like, look at that. Look at that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's gross. It's absolutely gross. So for him to act like, I mean, look at how many times he's mentioned in there. You know what I mean? It's just gross. So yeah, I mean, also I'm just mentioning it if anybody's kind of interested in dissecting the email.
What's the address again? What do you look at?
Jmail, instead of Gmail, it's jmail.world. It's very interesting. I mean, obviously there's thousands upon thousands of emails, but you can search by name, you could search by topic, you could search all sorts of things. And a lot of them are just, nothing burgers. I'm not saying, you know what I mean? But it's the names.
But it's good to know that.
Names of people.
Right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just gross. But yeah, Casey Wasserman right there. It's when your name and your corresponding and the dates are after arrests, after convictions, and you should know better. You should not be involved with something on the international stage, such as the Summer Olympics. He should step down. Absolutely, he should step down. But he doesn't give a shit. And why? We talked about this last week and the week before, because no one is facing any sort of consequence, legal consequence from being involved or being in these files. Nobody. And it's shameful. It's awful. It's, Marjorie Taylor Greene was just doing an interview and she was saying that Trump said it himself. Stop it, because my friends are going to be hurt. Stop all of this. Don't sign on to the release because my friends are going to be hurt. So it doesn't matter, all you Trumpers out there that are like, Trump isn't implicated in doing anything to the girls. If you stand there and you know that something bad is happening and you know who's doing it, it's just as bad. I don't care. I don't care. And it's gross, and he's gross. And I'm sorry. So many girls have come out and said that he has sexually assaulted them. And it's just absolutely disgusting. Trump is dirty. He's a criminal. He's a sexual assaulter, and he should be thrown in prison as well. So no, it's just vile that nobody has been convicted after these files come out. And I just can't believe it, Kim. I just can't. I still can't believe that we haven't had any arrests.
I was going to correct you so we don't get sued because you said he's a sexual assaulter, but then I realized you're right. He is found legally liable for sexual assault.
He was. So I didn't use the R word, so don't come out. No. I did not use the R word. So
you were totally right, and that's the President of the United States.
That's the President of the United States of America. Exactly. So can I also show you something? But I'm going to warn you that you have to protect your eyes, and I'm just doing this because if I had
is it a horror movie thing?
You can consider.
What is it?
I don't know if you saw this. I saw it and I laughed.
You're gonna make me look out. I'm scared now.
It has to do with the administration.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Which is, you could say that's a horror movie.
This is something that if I have to see it, you have to see it.
Okay.
Simply because I'm like, what the F am I watching right now? So here we go.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually going to turn off the music so that we don't get dinged by his stupid music. So this is Kid Rock and our Secretary of Health and Human Services, Kennedy.
RFK Jr. Yeah.
I will say this, and I hate saying it, he's not in bad shape at all. Okay, especially compared to Kid Rock. Like, there's no weight on this. They're just using their own body weight. But I will say, for a guy his age, not too bad, right? Except he's just gross. I don't understand the purpose of this. Like, thanks for flipping this off. I don't understand the purpose. And he's wearing jeans in an ice bath. Like, what are we doing here?
Maybe he doesn't want us to see his legs. He's like, I think I like my chest, but I don't like my legs.
It's so weird. This is like the weirdest video ever.
It is really
like
strange.
Pickleball.
Does that inspire you to want to exercise and drink whole
milk? But again, he's wearing
protein?
His jeans and water. Like they're drinking whole milk in the water together. This is so odd. It is so freaking weird. I was dying laughing. I was absolutely dying. I'm like, what am I watching here? What am I supposed to get?
Protect your eyes. You weren't wrong. You were not wrong.
I will say that RFK Jr. is it Junior? Yeah. RFK? Yeah.
RFK Jr., yeah.
He is in decent shape for a guy his age. I will say that. I'm not going to knock it. You know what I mean? Like, but he's weird. You know what I mean? Like, he's an odd duck. And Kid Rock just looks awful. Like, he's just so weird.
Of course, the governor's press office here in California has put out some statements and some pictures about this, and I found them in
so happy. Thank you.
So here's the governor's press office. They ask, is this after toilet seat number 2 or 3? Because he recently admitted to snorting cocaine off of toilet seats.
Exactly right. Yeah,
but then they focus in on his foot, okay? And they have a close-up of his foot. And the thing is,
his long toes.
They say, we need to talk about this. What is that?
Very long toes.
Is it AI or is it some weird thing going on with his feet? Like, what is happening there?
Those are really long. Oh, is it like just a blur? Like,
no, because here's the regular picture and look at his toes. It's weird. Something's going on with his feet, man. Right?
It's such an odd video to put out. And again, the fact that he keeps going into the water with his jeans on. Now that you've shown me his foot, like, what's going on under there?
Scary is right. Look away. No, but of course, I love that Governor Gavin Newsom's press office was like, okay,
we're going to do something about this. Oh, of course, yeah. I would expect nothing less than that from our governor. I'm sorry, he's just the best. Yeah, I was like, we have to talk a little bit about that. Well, this is another picture. Did you hear that was actually more disappointing, and I was really sad to see it with my own eyes. Did you hear about the investigation that's underway at Redwood High School in Visalia? Did you hear about this story?
We have a Redwood High School in Marin County, but this is in Visalia in Southern California?
Yeah, South Central California. Okay. So this was like, I think it was during like a senior class photo. Okay. And I'm going to play you a little bit of the news story here. I want to kind of bring it to the beginning of it because I don't want to play. Okay, here, I want to bring it to the beginning so you can see the actual picture. They're taking a student photo, a senior photo. And it says like class of 2026, like, and then like get it.
Sure.
And that after the photo, some students decide to rearrange themselves. Okay. And this is what they decide to rearrange themselves in. So it says 2FAGGOTS. I mean, there was like a 6 for the G or whatever. So it's the F word, a homophobic slur. And they take a picture of it and they're smiling and they post it on social media. Okay. Let me play a little bit more of this news report for you. Hold on.
The Valley. This picture taken on campus yesterday is being investigated by the district. It shows a group of Redwood High School students spelling out what the administrators call a hateful homophobic slur. Action News reporter Brisa Colon has more on the fallout as the students involved could face serious punishment.
This photo is sending shockwaves through the student body and community tonight. I spoke with a senior here on campus who tells me her classmates did this inside of a crowded school gym. Now members of the LGBTQ+ community are calling the image deeply troubling.
A photo circling on social media has led to an investigation by the Visalia Unified School District. The picture at the center of it shows a group of about 10 Redwood high schoolers wearing shirts with letters and numbers that spell out what the district is calling a, quote, hateful homophobic slur.
A lot of people at school, including like the senior class, are really upset about the ignorant and rash action of the people that were in the photo and took the photo.
The students, all seniors.
So that's what I
Officials
said
say
before.
the picture was taken Thursday during school hours after a class picture. In the senior photo, the shirt spelled out, quote, class of 2026, always legit. This before they rearranged the letters to say the derogatory word.
Doing that in front of a whole gym of 500 seniors.
This senior, who didn't want to be identified, tells us the gym was filled with hundreds of students at the time and that those in the photo were leaders on campus.
So they were like part of ASB. Some of them were part of like the student body. And not only that, I read another article, newspaper article, and they were saying that they did it after 2 8th grade boys had walked in holding hands. So it looked like it was in response, because I guess they were leading the school's associated student body, according to the Visalia Times Delta, was leading an 8th grade orientation on Thursday when some ASB leaders reacted to 2 middle school boys holding hands.
Okay, number one, we live in California. What are you doing? Stop that.
This is the Central Valley, though, in Visalia.
Still, I understand it's redder, but we're still California. And it's 2026. Are we still on being homophobic? I mean, same-sex marriage is legal and it hasn't hurt anybody. We're fine. Like, the world didn't end when gay people were allowed to get married. Oh, everyone was so afraid. Everything's fine. You're still able to get married and live your life. Just don't look at your neighbor's paper. You're okay, right? And now here we have this with kids still being homophobic. Listen, I just, I'm disgusted by this and how hurtful it is to people. You don't know when you're in high school, junior high, high school, you know, people haven't come out yet. You don't know who around you, which one of your friends that you may be saying this to. Exactly. I would normally like to say, you know, they're kids, they're stupid, they're doing dumb stuff. When left alone, you know, to their own devices, kids will be stupid and ridiculous. But I'm not going to give them that grace. I'm not going to, because they should know better.
Absolutely.
These are kids that don't live in, you know, the backwoods of whatever, where maybe that's acceptable. They live in a state where we know better. Come on, we know better. I don't care if you live in Redding or Visalia or Petaluma or San Francisco. We ought to know better by now. And I don't.
What do you think should happen to the kids, though? Because that's what a lot of people are saying. So this was a senior photo. So obviously college is right around the corner. Do you think, because I was on like Reddit and some of the social media threads that were posting about the story, and some people are like, oh, it starts at home, it's with the parents, and other people are saying, look, yes, it was dumb, but was anyone directly hurt? You know, it's quote unquote free speech. It was just, you know, on the t-shirt. Should students' lives, quote, be ruined over a stupid rank or whatever?
Petaluma had something bad happen, and I forget what the exact situation was. But every year there's this lips dub contest where this, it's mostly for the senior boys to show off in front of the school, and it's a rite of passage, and they pick a song and they do an act, and it's a big to-do. And last year it was canceled because these boys did something. I don't know if it was that bad, but it was something rotten like this. And so the event was canceled, and everyone involved, no prom, no senior prom.
Wow.
Done,
okay.
Right?
That seems fair.
If you're a student, especially if you're a student leader and you pull this kind of baloney,
I know.
Immediately you're suspended. You're kicked off of ASB. Your senior activities are taken away. You're done.
And your letter of recommendation is gone too. I don't know, like if they're already sent, but I can. And then also, you're part of ASB. What message are you sending to these new kids that are starting high school? Like, you're obviously sending them, you're not welcome here. But the other thing that disturbs me the most, Kim, and I was talking about what happened at Branham High School here in San Jose with the swastikas. It is this lack of shame because they posted on their social media. If you saw the picture, now you can Google it, that they were blurring out the faces, but there is a picture of these kids, bright ass smiles, like no shame. Like, what are you doing? You're not only smiling in the picture with this slur that you're part of, but then it's posted on social media as if you're still not ashamed of it. That is what concerns me also. It's this lack of understanding. And I don't know what are we missing in the lesson to these kids?
It shows a complete lack of moral character. So they should be out of ASB. They're not student leaders. They're not. Those are not leaders. That's not leadership. There was a situation in Petaluma, I think it was Petaluma, where the kids held like whatever the OK sign is that's upside down.
Oh, yeah.
It means something racist, I think.
It can be like white power.
Is that what it means? It's
supposed to be like
baloney.
A WP. Yeah, it's stupid.
And they were caught with, they were posing for a sports photo, like as part of a sports team, and they were all holding these symbols. Not all of them, but many of them in the picture were holding their hands in such a way. And I don't remember what the repercussion was, but I think they were taken out of, they were definitely not allowed to be featured in the yearbook. It was part of their punishment. But yeah, I don't think you go light on this. I think you go heavy on this, and you're trying to, before they graduate, show these kids that having character and not being discriminatory is important, and it matters. And so what kind of message do you send if you go light? You don't.
But and I agree with you 100%, but there's a part of me that when you were saying that is like, if you're a senior and you did something like this, yeah, I'll kick you off ASB. Yeah, you'll out of the yearbook. But God, I feel like I've lost you. Like, if you haven't learned it now and you're about to graduate, damn, we failed you at some point. Like, there is and I understand kids make mistakes, but damn, did you miss some lesson? You missed some life lesson. I would be so ashamed. And now that I work at a school, and I have these conversations constantly, because I literally was talking to a new parent who was so sad that she wanted to have her kid come to our high school because they're in 8th grade right now, and she's so worried about the friend group that her kid is in, and that they're being bullied and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, I was talking to my coworker, and it's, the school needs to do something. And it's like, on one hand, yes, the school definitely needs to enforce consequences when it happens. But on the other hand, there's only so much you can do. Like we were talking about social media, the bullying doesn't end at the school doors.
No.
They post it on social media. They post that picture. They text you. You know what I mean? It's never ending for these poor kids.
It gets worse too, because Jacob told me recently something that happened to him at school. And he said, don't call the principal or the teacher.
Exactly.
You're going to make it worse.
You're going to make it worse.
Double down. But I was so angry, so angry that I did say something. I thought maybe they could do something quietly. That's one of the offenders was pulled out, talked to by the principal, and then came right back to class and said, what did you say? Now I'm in trouble and I didn't even do anything to you. Right. And so then it becomes worse. And here I am, make it worse. So it's like, it's
you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You know what I mean? Like,
you don't want your kid to be at the target of this kind of stuff.
And exactly. And I love that you told that story, because that's how the school feels about it. It's like you bring in the kids and as you're supposed to do, you have the conversation, whether it's administration, whether it's the therapists, the wellness counselors or whatever. But the minute those kids are outside that door and outside of the earshot of adults, it's the same BS. F you friggin' narc. I didn't do anything. You're a wuss. You're a bitch. You're whatever.
Right.
Because it's a totally different, hierarchy out there. They don't care that they got reamed by the principal or that their parents are mad at them, because they're going to still bully you on social media and where the eyes of those people aren't looking. And I don't know how we stop it. You can pound into your kid's head, be kind, be nice, don't do that.
I did that though. And I have the kindest, nicest, sweetest boy. And that's why he gets picked on.
I know.
So should I have toughened him up at the beginning? Should I have said, be machismo, be the tough guy on campus so that you don't get picked on, throw the first punch. Should I have done that?
No, I think you're raising your children exactly the right way. You're raising them as you want them to be. Now, again, I think high school, and I'm not saying this to scare you, high school will toughen Jacob up. You keep him kind. Does that make sense?
See,
he will.
I keep telling him high school is going to be easier. I keep saying that. I don't know. It might be. Middle school sucks ass. I know middle school sucks. Yeah. I hated middle school, especially watching. Oh, hold on. Especially watching my kids go through middle school. I hated it. Even though they had a fine time, but COVID and everything like that would suck. High school's hard. I don't know. I find high school to be very hard, not just to watch my own kids, but to watch kids that I work at go through high school. It's so brutal,
hard. And I tell Marley, my daughter, who's going to be a senior next year, and I know this, and I'm sure you'll remember this too. It's amazing that the moment you graduate, especially if you go straight to college, how little it matters anymore. How a switch goes off and all of a sudden you're like, I don't give a crap what these people think about me anymore. Yeah. Once you walk on a college campus, not saying that it doesn't, not saying that they're not still idiots and stuff, but it's this maturity that happens once you leave high school where you're like, oh, I don't care anymore. And I try to instill that, you're not going to care. You're not going to even talk to most of these people ever again. Yep. Try not to care, even though I know it's important right now. But yeah, it's life will harden Jacob in the way that he needs to. Yeah. I think just continue to keep the message of being kind.
And I hate that. I hate that for him. I would love for him to just stay this kind, sweet person.
No, but he will. But he'll find his voice of defending himself is what I mean. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like people will be mean or not or whatever. He'll encounter some sort of hardship and he will find the voice that he needs to either defend himself or walk away. Like he will find that. And that's just the way it's going to be. Yeah. But he's a sweetie. I don't want you to, damn it. I don't want you to teach him to be mean. I don't know why I keep breaking out. Hold
on. Oh man. Yeah. Are you having problems over there? What are you doing?
The microphone keeps going on. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you. I thought Nugget was under the desk.
No. I keep losing sound. I'm here. No. Yeah, but no, I just keep your kids kind as much as possible because I swear to God, it's going to go by like that. Yeah. Just like our show went by like that. Okay. So that is our show. And thank you for putting up the reminder. Thank you all for being here. I know this was a recorded show, but if you can support us in all of the ways, big thank you to everybody that does. All of the ways to support us are in the show notes. We love PayPal. We love our Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much. PayPal is the Nikki Maduro Show @gmail.com. Super chat and super stickers are always up, even if we are recorded. Kim, I hope you are having a fabulous time right now in Disneyland.
Why, thank you so much. Yay! Click the thumbs up.
Click
If you
the
haven't
thumbs up.
subscribed, please subscribe.
Oh,
Don't
yes,
unsubscribe,
please.
but just subscribe. Make sure it's highlighted. Yeah.
Exactly. Make sure you're subscribed and tell your friends to join us.
Yeah.
We love being here. We are going to be live next Thursday again at 5:00 Pacific. So tell your friends. We love being here. And we do the show because of you guys every single week. So thank you so very much. All right. Have a fabulous week and weekend. And we love you. See you next time. Bye.
Have a magical day. Bye.
Nikki, you're oh so awesome. Miss Brown, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.